Welcome to Genred Off Book. I'm Katie.
And I'm drinking wine.
Ooh, that was a good one. Yeah, I think actually that's the winner.
That's the winner. That's the winner. That is the winner. That's Elise over there. And we are joined by the one, the only, the youngest sister, Amanda Merlo.
Woot, 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 woot. Privileged.
Woot.
Happy to be here.
Happy
I'm
to
a
be
little
here.
sunburnt. Sitting here is a little uncomfortable, but I'm so privileged to be here.
You've been on the pod before, but in a more producer capacity.
Yeah.
And now, finally, we're sitting here. We're going to get into the details.
Yeah.
Yeah, more of a producer than talent, generally speaking.
You've never had your own episode.
It's true. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I've got something to say now, but books used to put me right to sleep. So things have changed. I found my genre.
The written word used to put her directly into a coma.
And some days it still does.
Yeah.
But
I know it. Did you read the last 3 nights before you went to bed?
no.
Yeah.
We've
No,
been
I didn't
drinking.
either.
We've been drinking.
We've been hitting the sauce.
Yeah. I already don't remember what I read normally
Yeah.
because I'm consuming so much media during the day.
Yeah.
It's a problem. I'm working on it. But I think that I have to be 100% sober to read and absorb.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's valid.
That's not an issue I have. So I think...
Really?
Yeah, I think, Katie, a couple episodes. Oh, it was our mid-year recap. You were like, Elise, do you ever
Oh yeah.
not read before you go to bed? And I'm like, not in years. Can I remember not, opening up that Kindle, reading a couple of pages? There might be
Right.
nights. Last night was a good example where I wasn't even drinking, but I was so tired because of all of the good time, friendship, fun times we
Yeah.
had
Yes.
over the last couple of days
Mm-hmm.
that I had to go to bed. And I did fall almost immediately to sleep, but I still read like a chapter of a book and then fell immediately to sleep.
Wow.
There's never a time in which I don't open up my Kindle
Wow.
to read.
And you remember what you read?
I mean, for the most part, last night's a good example of like, I read very little. So it's not as if I'm really
Like nothing major
consuming. I'm
happened.
not consuming so much that I'm like, oh no, I have to go back.
I usually get into bed and it's a choice. It's like, do I want to spend the next hour on TikTok or am I in the position where I can read for an hour? And last night I spent an hour on TikTok.
Well, TikTok is a real problem for me falling to sleep.
Yeah.
Falling asleep because I often accidentally repost message. I don't know what about the controls on TikTok
Yeah.
lead me to be just like 3 laughing face emoji in a
Yeah.
row commenting on random people's posts.
Yeah.
I even messaged my friend. We messaged back and forth. I messaged her the most random safety tip video I've ever sent. Like she and I are sending TikToks about smoking cigarettes. Like I would say that's like our number one topic.
Interesting.
So she's that kind of friend. And I sent her a safety tips from my cop father TikTok on
Is that something?
via DM.
Safety cigarettes from our father?
No,
No,
not
no.
safety cigarettes. Just
Not safety cigarettes. Safety tips from somebody's
Safety
cop
cigarettes.
father.
Safety cigarettes.
All right. Should
All right.
we
Yeah,
should
let's
we get
get
the
into
business
it.
started?
I think before we ask the first question, Amanda, which is what's your favorite genre, I want you to give a little bit of your history with reading.
Yeah.
How did you
Start?
how did you start? What were your favorite books growing up? Where were you before? I mean, it's unfair because we know what your favorite genre is, but how did you get to where you are right now? Give us a little history.
It's actually very heartwarming because I think some of my early memories are you, Elise, reading me Harry Potter books when I was little.
Did I do that?
Yeah, you read me Harry Potter books.
Did you not remember?
Listen, my memory is real bad, but that does sound like something I would do. But
Yeah.
we read I read Harry Potter to you.
Yeah, so that was my early memory. Obviously, our parents read us books. My memory and my introduction into fantasy, which was my original favorite genre, was through Harry Potter,
Okay.
The Hunger Games, Twilight. Those were my main interests when I was younger, and it was because of you,
Yeah.
Elise, my eldest sister.
I remember I read Twilight because you told me to read
Yeah,
it.
I was right.
Maybe I was in grad. I don't know if I was in grad school yet. I was definitely at least later in college.
I was maybe 22.
In
Yeah.
that case, then I was in grad school. So in grad school, there was a point of time where, listen, anybody out there who's gone to grad school, you'll know you either really take to it or you're like, I've made a terrible mistake and this is something I need to get through. And I was you need to get through it. And the way I got through it was that I read the 4 books of Twilight in a loop. I didn't read anything else. So before I went to bed, wherever I was in the 4 books of Twilight, it's just like where I started. And then I started to skip books. I was like, I don't need to read New Moon. So I read the first book, I'd skip New Moon, I'd go to Eclipse and like whatever.
You were a skipper of New Moon? I mean, I think, dare I say, that's like one of the greats.
Yeah, me too. I liked when Edward wasn't around because she was all fucked up.
Yeah, it was so like, that's me and my relationship.
And then that was my later in life fan fiction. So Twilight fan fiction is what I did when I was older. And then when I was younger, it was Sailor Moon, and then it was Harry Potter. But for example, when 50 Shades of Grey got released as a traditionally published book, and I was hearing people talk about it, I'm like, this sounds an awful lot like a Twilight fan fiction I read. Like I wasn't paying attention to, like the literature news. I was like, oh my God, no, it's because it is. And I had to pretend not to know what people were talking about when I read 50 Shades of Grey, and it was like, oh no, I read this fan fiction.
I was absolutely, tantalized when 50 Shades of Grey, the movie, was coming out. And that slow Beyonce song was in the trailer. I was like, I don't know what this is about.
Which song was it?
Oh, I think it's Crazy in Love.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like this slow, tantalizing remix of it. And I said, I have got to be wherever that song is. All right, Amanda. What's your favorite genre?
Girls. So I've come a long way. I would say when I was younger, as I mentioned, it was definitely fantasy. Not high fantasy. The world building, like the high complication of that, I was not as interested in as like kind of a pop fantasy, I would say. Like the Twilights and
pop culture fantasy.
Yeah. Very.
The technical term is low fantasy, although it sounds negative. It's not. It just means that it takes place in a recognizable world.
Wait, sorry, I'm gonna go off on a tangent, but remember that book? I think it was called The 1,000th Floor.
Oh yeah,
that's not really fantasy, but it kind of is.
I talk about that book all the time.
Dystopian.
Yeah, it's like more of a dystopian.
So
book.
I would say fantasy and dystopian were both very interesting to me. Like The Hunger Games was interesting, but there was so much not war, but so much fighting. I'm not trying to see the fighting. I'm trying to see the love,
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, so what I would say is like in the past, it has been fantasy. I was awakened by Heated Rivalry.
Yes. As I think many were.
Yes. And I fell into romance, which I had never had any like true interest in before. I think I just was not interested in the love between two men. It wasn't interesting to me.
As a relatively straight woman.
Yeah. Relatively, like 80-20, right? I think Heated Rivalry introduced me to the fact that there's this extra plot point in romance where they have to come out, they have to confess. So with like romance in general, the man, the woman, they fall in love, and in general society accepts that. Everybody's parents are mostly cool with it. Like, we could have some kingdoms at war, Romeo and Juliet style, but it wasn't this big moment where romance there's this additional piece of it where they're potentially ashamed, or it's new, or it's different, or they weren't expecting it, and you get to see how they deal with it. And I love that. And also, I'll say, these boys emotionally maybe they're not too quick to the punch with their emotions.
Yeah.
They're not telling these, much like Heated Rivalry, they're not telling these gentlemen their interest and their intentions until at least halfway through the book is when they'll really start to reveal. You just have to try it, because another good thing I like, and potentially it's something that drew me to fantasy romance in the beginning, is that you have to kind of wait. There's a lot of yearning. You have to wait for the moment that they get together. And I like the yearning, and romance broke that for me, because let me just say, I'm going to be vulgar on the podcast. First 2 chapters, blowjob, no matter what.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're friends, we're enemies. It doesn't matter. There's a little bit of something going on in the beginning, and then you have to spend this time coming to terms with it. This guy's your stepbrother. This guy,
Oh dear.
Yeah. This guy's your stepbrother. He's your enemy. He's your soccer rival. He's your something.
Yeah.
And there's so much, it just keeps me more entertained.
Well, I mean, the stakes are higher immediately.
And that's what I think I learned with Heated Rivalry.
Yeah.
What was the first? Well, so it sounds like Heated Rivalry, you were like, hey boys, I could read about it. And I agree. I went into Heated Rivalry saying I can't relate to two gay men playing hockey. Like, how can I read it? How can I read about that? I feel like I can't relate. And then obviously you read it or you watch it and you're like, anyone can relate to this.
Right.
What was the first book that you were interested in and you were like, wait a sec, this is a genre that I really love?
So the first book that I read post Heated Rivalry was a book called The Kennedy Rule, and it was also a hockey romance.
Okay.
But these two guys were on different teams, so they didn't know each other very well. But then they both were in the Olympics together.
Yeah.
Oh, so they were like,
and then we had Forced
team.
Proximity, which is one of my faves.
Yep,
I love it.
yep,
Oh my gosh,
yep.
we have to share a room. Obsessed.
Yeah.
And what I really like about romance is I like to know that at least one of the guys is struggling with their sexuality. That makes it more interesting. That at least one guy has to come out. He's got a tough dad. He's got a tough coach. He's got a tough something.
Shane Hollander.
Yeah, exactly. And there was all of that in the Kennedy Rule. It wasn't the spiciest, most intriguing book. There weren't tons of twists and turns that you couldn't predict. But it was nice to go from Heated Rivalry into another hockey romance and be like, oh, what are these guys doing outside of sports?
Yeah.
That's that. Then I got interested because this is pretty steamy and I feel like it could get even more so. And then I started reading Rina Kent books, which any romance girls, you know who you are.
I know
We
Rina
all know
Kent.
Rina Kent.
We all know Rina Kent.
Yeah, because she writes, I forget what the series is called, but God of Fury, Hunt the Villain, Kiss the Villain. Those are all her romance books, but they're a part of a larger series that has hetero romance as well.
Wait, oh my God, hold on. Sorry, I need to look this up.
I know, I'm looking this up too.
A Legacy of Gods?
Yeah, Legacy of Gods is the series name, yeah. And there's books in there, like they don't stand alone necessarily, but they can.
Yeah. Well, it's the interconnected standalones.
World, yeah.
So romances are honestly one of the only genres, someone's going to come at me and say no, but romance has always done an interconnected standalone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily spin-offs as much as it would be nice if you read the previous books, but you could still enjoy this book without it. And that is what modern romance does now.
Yeah. And I thought with Rina Kent, she's definitely more of a spicier, dark romance writer. And I was like, I'm ready for something crazy. Like, give me Rina. That's what everybody... Yeah. And I, of course, learned all of this on, like, TikTok, Book Talk, romance. Like, the girls are giving in that section of the internet. So once I kind of was off of sports and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't the most interesting genre, I moved on to what could still be the spiciest romance book I ever read, which was For the Fans.
Oh yes, that's a huge one. I haven't read it, but
it's a huge one.
It's like it's a big book talk one, but also I think an entry point for a lot of people.
It's weird that it was an entry point because there were points that I was reading it and I was like, oh my God, the scandal. Like, it's so scandalous because it's stepbrothers, which
that's crazy.
And when I first started reading it, they were really young, which is something I don't like. I don't like to be reading about people in high school. That's something that doesn't interest me at all. But they quickly, through the first few episodes, like aged them up through college.
Okay.
First 3 episodes?
The first 3 episodes For the Fans.
Okay. Smallest child.
Yes.
So if no one's ever read an romance, what would be the first book you would give them?
Like me, because I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I'd have to ask some questions first because the first question I would ask is how spicy do you want it? I think the barrier to entry for most people is just that they're not interested and they can't relate to the relationship between two men. Like, women can't relate to a relationship between two men, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think some of the spicier books could...
Something you have to build up to.
Right, because you kind of need like the plot to bring you through, and like there's sweeter versions which are like friends to lovers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think if I were to say friends to lovers, it would be Don't You Dare, which is a a friends to lovers romance. Like they were friends when they were younger. They're college roommates.
Huh.
One of them plays baseball, I think. And it's awkward because they're friends, but they have these moments of tension and maybe a lot happens over text.
Oh.
Which I really like. There's a lot of texting in MM romance, particularly like college-based MM romance.
That makes sense.
There's a ton of texting, which I think is really interesting. So there's this disconnect between the text world and the real world, especially in friends to lovers, because you guys knew each other when you were younger. So Don't You Dare would be one of my early recommendations.
Do you know who wrote that?
I did. I just looked it up. Sorry. It is C.E. Ricci.
Yeah, C.E. Ricci. And she's a really popular MM romance writer.
Okay.
And then from that, I would say for the fans, aside from it being a little bit too long, it's very, very long. I would have cut 100 pages of it minimum.
Yeah.
That is so, they have so many twists and turns, and like the enemies to lovers last a long time.
Lots of
they
tension.
are really enemies. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of things at stake. There's family, there's school, there's money, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. And then if you're interested in the paranormal and fantasy, then I would take you in a totally different direction.
Ooh.
Those are non-fantasy.
What's your favorite fantasy one?
It's more paranormal than fantasy, but it's the Mercenary and the Mortician is my favorite fantasy MM romance. It's more paranormal. Name. I know. It's more paranormal than I think. Particularly, Katie, you would really like this one.
I already feel like I like it.
And I don't want to give too much away, but I felt that the plot and the story was really interesting and different. It's between basically a mortician, obviously.
Love that.
And they call him a mercenary, but he sure does a lot more than that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this is by Alexandria St. Pierre?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was really interested in that one, but it's pretty freaky. Like they get freaky for sure. There's a lot of violence. So if that's not what you're interested in, I knew you would.
Yeah.
The Mortuary and the Mortician is one of those books where certain scenes are still in my mind. I think especially now that I've gotten really into the series, I'm devouring these books.
Are there like multiple books in the series?
No, it's a standalone. I think. Yeah.
No, it's interconnected standalones. I looked.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? I thought it was a
fun.
standalone.
It's the Silent Hollow #1.
Yeah. I do think it stands alone because it wraps up. But for you, Katie, that should be the first one that you read.
All right.
For you, Elise, you freaky Omegaverse gal, I think you would read For the Fans, both of which I think are a little long. I think that's my biggest complaint about MM romance because it takes them so long.
Yeah.
Because it takes them so long just to talk about your feelings, boys. Freaking bring it up.
Boys being boys.
Bring it up. They can be a little long because of that.
That feels fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel fair.
Wait, I feel like I have one more.
Okay.
Tell us.
So if you're more into like fantasy where there's witches and warlocks and, small town drama, the one that I'm reading right now is called Malleum Discordae.
Wow. What a
Malleum Discordae. And they are witches, small town gentleman witches.
Okay. So not warlocks?
They're not calling them warlocks. They're calling them witches. And they come... So there's a lot of family lore, small town lore.
Like that.
Dark academia?
Dark academia. Yeah, they're in college. Yeah.
Okay. Love that.
That's probably the most fantasy I've gone so far. I haven't gone into like the deep fantasy MM stuff because I'm just not...
You're not there.
I'm liking it's a little bit more straightforward, just like small town witchy romance.
I feel like you should read some Katie Roberts because I think I could get you into Omegaverse. I think I could get you into it.
I think you could get me into because I have read Why Choose, and why choose?
Why choose
in a world? And I know reverse harem is not very appropriate anymore. That's my favorite type of why choose because it's like these boys. It's like the freaking Bachelorette. These boys are trying to come after this girl.
Yes, that's what it is.
I get it, but I just don't know. I really don't know how that works.
There needs to be a pack of 5 men worshiping one woman. That's the way it works.
And that's wonderful, right? Like I think about that, but I personally can't imagine having to have that many feelings for multiple people. That to me feels just like hard personally.
Because you're a Scorpio.
Yeah, like that's just where it feels like I don't have enough time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's either like one is, whew, that's the max. Like I don't have enough time. I have a cat. Like, and all my time and energy needs to be going to my cat.
No, literally, it's unrealistic.
What are you looking for?
I'm sorry, I'm looking for my lip gloss. It's a Clinique lip gloss, black honey. You can contact me at amanda@merlotmgmt.com.
Yeah, because
Like, why can't
is
I
this your
find
podcast
it?
lipstick?
You're freaking Bob's Discount Furniture. We're a big fan of your couches here, boy. You couldn't believe it. You can find me at amanda@merlotmgmt.com. Thank you, Bob.
You were talking about Rachel Reid having the conversation.
Yeah, so Rachel Reid was accepting an award at an award show, and she was answering the question, like, why do you think so many women are obsessed with Heated Rivalry? And she was like, well, why would they not be? This is about two men that are having an open communication, and they're talking about, consent and all of that. And there's the power dynamics are so much more different. She's like, why would women not be interested in this? Why would they not find this attractive that these two men are doing this? And I was like, well, that's exactly right. Yeah. I think that is so important.
I mean, I think the open communication is up for debate because it did take them 9 years.
I know. But that is
not even come out to the public, just genuinely come out to each other. Like, hey, man, I like ya. I love ya.
I think that just the yearning in it is so, and the stakes are so high that you get it. You're like, I understand why this can't just be a blanket. We're together. This is us. Like there's steps that they have to take, and it's so tough, but it's so heartwarming.
Yeah, I really think the stakes being higher, the fact that women can't relate, that's what makes it more interesting. And that you just don't know what every plot twist is going to be.
Yeah.
I've read every plot twist in a FM romance. I know what's going to happen.
The third act breakup, you get it. Yeah. You know it's coming.
And it's not necessarily a third act breakup in MM romances.
Yeah.
It's they've been not together for most of the book.
Yeah.
Like, or they've been half together, and it's almost like a third act relationship.
What's really different is the first act encounter. I think what doesn't happen in FM romance is like the men encounter each other early. I think this is probably true I assume it rings true for gay men in real life, is that you lead with sex. I think a lot.
Yeah.
That's
true.
The sex leads the rest of it, whereas in FM romance, it's more like the emotion leads.
I agree. And I think we've got, obviously a lot of wonderful gay friends. And I think they would probably say something similar, in that sex plays such a big part in how they meet people and how they create these relationships. And you can begin a sexual relationship and then a year later, 10 years later, or a day later, have a much more serious relationship with this person. Whereas in heterosexual relationships, I feel like that's almost like looked down upon. If you sleep with someone the first night you go out with them, or have a one night stand, you're like, well, nothing's going to come from that relationship. And I just don't think that happens in at least MM relationships. But I don't know.
Well, certainly not in the books.
Yeah.
Certainly not in the books.
Certainly not in the books.
Can I have some more wine?
Josh, we're a really huge fan of your products. You can always contact me at amanda@merlotmanagementmgmt.com. We would love to drink your products on our show.
Can we also talk to Penley?
Okay, so Penley is like our favorite.
You see that fantasy dragon? Because we love fantasy books. So we're looking at you, Penley. You can reach out to me at amanda@merlotmgmt.com. That's like the wine without the tea. Thank you.
Oh, man. In fact, Penley, this episode was brought to you by Penley, and any audio issues also due to Penley.
Yeah,
it was unfortunately.
Penley is our absolute favorite red wine.
Fortunately, a little bit too deep in red wine.
Katie, ready? 1, 2, 3. White wine. Perfect.
This is loose. This is going to be a loose episode. All right, ready? Next question.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
ready.
MM romance is very much your genre, but what is your favorite trope or moment, or I don't know, a vibe of the book where you're like, oh no, this is going to be a fave?
So I actually think my favorite trope is probably Stepbrothers, which was the most polarizing to me in the beginning. That's true. When I was like, these gentlemen are related. They're living in the same house. But
I guess they're technically not related.
They're technically not related. There was something about it to me which on the surface felt very pornographic. And I'll give it to, for the fans, Nyla K. Girl, you knew what you were doing. That is what really got me interested in that trope because there was so much to unpack. It's not only they have to come out, their parents are married, you know, like the dad and the mom are married. How are you going to do that? You're at Christmas together. I would say like forced proximity is another trope that I really, really like. I love the one bed, the forced proximity, the shared dorm room. Like that's my shit.
Yeah.
And you really get that in spades with Stepbrothers.
Well, yep.
I guess that's true.
Because guess what? You're sharing a family.
Guess what? Your mom and dad are married. In a different kind of way. So those are probably my favorite. I think one of my least favorite is age gap. And I feel that way about hetero romances as well. I'm not as interested in age gap relationships. And I think that's very common in romance, and I don't yearn for that.
Yeah, that's not bringing it back. That's fair enough.
That's fair. Yeah, that's very fair.
That's what I would. There's been some. I would say Kiss the Villain. Is it Kiss or Hunt? Kiss the Villain is technically an age gap romance. So that's one of the Rina Kens.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So there's Kiss the Villain and Hunt the Villain. Kiss the Villain is an age gap. Hunt the Villain is not. That was interesting, but it was more professor-student. I don't die for that. I don't die for the professor-student person in a powerful position.
Yeah.
Preying
even
on a
like
young
50
man.
Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
That didn't speak to me either.
Should we go to our last question?
Let's go for it.
Amanda, if you could only read one genre for the rest of your life, would it be romance? Or would you cheat?
It would be romance.
No, you would die on this hill?
I would die on this hill, 100%, because I think it's actually improved my relationship with men and my view of men. I think that I came into it so close-minded. Like, I almost didn't even watch Heated Rivalry. Like, I really was so
I understand
close-minded about it. And now that I'm in it, I actually think it made me understand men so much better because we come from an all-girl family, except for our dad. Shout out Darren Merlo.
And Boone.
And Boone, our dog Boone, I can't express how much I didn't genuinely understand about men, the way that they grow up, the way that they think, why they think the things that they do. And romance really made me have more of an appreciation and understanding of men. And I think some of the spicy stuff was really interesting. Hey, it brought a few things to my desk I hadn't thought of before. So
just logistically, right?
Just logistically, like it opened my mind a little bit. So I would die on the romance. It's the first type of book that I've read since I was little that kept me coming back. Now I've read 10, 15 romances in the last year. And as you know, the written word puts me to sleep.
So, right to sleep.
Puts me right to sleep. These books were keeping me awake. They were keeping me interested. I thought there's enough intrigue in the plot of two men being together to keep me invested where I lose interest in regular romances for sure. Honestly, I haven't even read a lot of them. Just like regular romances between men and women. It just is not.
Well, that doesn't. I mean, like, and I get that. Like, that doesn't necessarily keep my attention.
Like, if nobody has powers, you can fucking miss me with that shit.
Yeah. Or it's like, if there's not dire situations, I'm like, well, just break up.
This isn't what. Oh, so you guys are dating? Sure.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Is there a miscommunication in this? Like, just fucking talk to each other.
It's so interesting, and I always say that I'm not the truest fan of because I'm mostly interested when one or more of the characters have not yet come to terms with their sexuality. I think there's also a whole other section of romance that's more written for gay men.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it's like I that might not be what I'm reading right now, but I think it's so versatile, the genre in general, and that there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
So I would stick with MM, and I probably wouldn't cheat because, hey, it can be MMM, MMMMF.
Yeah. Now you're getting into Omegaverse, baby girl.
Well, Mandy Po Dandy.
I've fucking answered your questions and then some.
Yeah,
that's
so happy
true.
to
And
have
also,
you.
you've pitched a lot of stuff.
Right. I could think of it. I could think of other things.
All right. Take us out, Katie.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for joining the podcast.
Anytime.
Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, no genre shaming unless it's funny. Bye.
Bye.